today I am going to start a new chapter from class 12th, chapter number 2, that is your sexual reproduction in flowering plants. In this chapter, children, the topics which we are going to cover is a flower, a fascinating organ. It's fascinating organ. It's really a very beautiful part of the plant, attractive part of the plant. Then we are going to study the next topic, pre-fertilization, and in that we are going to study the structures and events. Then the next topic is double fertilization, post-fertilization, its structures and events, apomixis and polyembryony. In class 10th you have studied the introductory part of this chapter where your flower structures was explained and your process of fertilization was explained there. Here that same thing which we are going to study here in more detail. What do you mean by pre-fertilization? Structures and events. Pre-fertilization means before the fertilization, before the fusion, before the syngamy takes place, before the formation of zygote, the structures, the parts or the events, the processes which are taking place inside a plant body, inside a flower part, which is very important, which we are going to cover here, what that is called as pre-fertilization. After the development of the flower, structures, parts, then the time will come when your fertilization will take place. And why I have mentioned here double fertilization, while going through the chapter you will be understanding it. Then the next part of the chapter will be post-fertilization, means after the zygote formation, after the fertilization, which structures are going to be developed, and those structures are embryo development and your endosperm development, fruit development, seed development, how those development takes place in a flower plant, in a plant body, that we are going to study here in this chapter. And the last topic will be apomixis and polyembryony, which will be understanding only after covering these topics. Children, this whole chapter is related to botany, where it is a collective study where you are going to study about morphology of the plant, anatomy of the plant, physiology of the plant. All the three sections we are going to cover in this chapter. Now if I start with the flower. Flower is a very beautiful part, very attractive part of the plant body, which attracts us, which attracts the different type of organisms, which attracts insects towards them, and which is the builder of the fruit. If flower is not there, a fruit formation is not going to take place. We are not going to get a beautiful fruits to eat. Seeds from there we will be getting. There are various things which will be described, which will be discussed throughout the chapter. Flowers, it has a very aesthetic value. It is used in our culture. It is very important as it gives us the new generation of the new plant body. Then it also plays a very important role in the evolution. How in evolution we will be discussing in the later part of the chapter. But now let us begin and understand that how flower is very important for us. Now children, let us know about flowers. Now the lines which I have written on the board, they have been quoted down from NCERT book, that what is the values of flowers in the plants. Now the flowers are regarded as the most beautiful structures of the nature. It's very beautiful, very attractive, beautiful colors, beautiful smell, scents. They attract the different type of living organism towards them. We are attracted. Insects are attracted. It's very important for the nature. So they are the most beautiful part of the nature. Now what is actually flower? How you are going to define a flower? So flowers are the modification of a condensed shoot, reproductive unit of an androzoa. Flowers are modification of a condensed shoot. What do you mean by modification of a condensed shoot? Now when a plant is there, if it's short, I draw a diagram over here. This is a twig going on, a shoot part is moving on upward. So this is the primordial axis. This is the axis of the shoot from where your flowers will be emerging. The branches keeps on moving and this axis point, this primordial axis point, they develop into a bird-like structures. And these bird-like structures are what? They are the modified into a condensed. The stem at a point, after reaching to a point, they stop their growth, they become condensed, they become short in a portion, and they change into, they modify into a flower. So what is a flower? How a flower is different? Flower is nothing. Flower is just a modified section of a condensed section of a shoot. A stem keep on growing, a shoot portion keep on growing, determinate in a indeterminate form, that the shoot is growing in a lengthwise. But a point will come, a apex will come, where the growth of the shoot will condensed. They will stop, they will be in a small limited portion, and that will be modified into a flower. And second part, that it is a reproductive unit of an angiosperm. Flower is a reproductive unit. Why it is a reproductive unit? Because both male and female flower structures, reproductive structures, are present in the flower. What is the male part? Stamen is the male part. And what is the female? Pistil is the female. So stamen as well as pistil, androecium as well as gynoecium, both the reproductive structures are present in the flower. So hence a flower is also considered as a reproductive unit in case of angiospermic plants, and they are a modification of a condensed shoot. Hope the definition of a flower is clear to you all. Now they are of different varieties, shapes, colors and scent. There are various types of flowers, various shapes. Some are having 3 petals, some are having 4 petals, some are having 6 petals. Various varieties of flowers there. Pink color, blue color, violet color, white color, there are orange color, different colors of the flowers are there. As well, they are having beautiful smells also. And it is not always, children, that the flowers are always having a beautiful smell. Some bad odor is also present. You can get an example of Rafflesia. A rotten flesh smell comes from a flower, Rafflesia flower. So every time it is not that always a good smell is going to come from a flower, but flowers are smelled, they are scented. Now, flowers are used to express love, affection, happiness and grief. So, in various occasions, in the birthday parties, in marriage ceremonies, in the death also white color flowers are given. So for various types of feelings also, flowers are present in the nature in a symbolic form. So they are used to express love, affection, happiness and grief. Now next, if I move then, the flowers are the object of aesthetic. It is having aesthetic value. Ornamental, you can see various type of flowers, ornaments are being formed. It is in the purpose, used in the purpose of social, religious, cultures in the puja and all. You can see that flowers are used in huge amounts. Then it is used as a source of dye. Various type of color dyes are made, scents and perfumes are made. This is what in the introductory part about flower has been mentioned in your NCERT book. So I just quoted out the line from the books and mentioned here to explain this. Now sometimes it's not necessary, it's not important, but sometimes it is asked that what is the value of flower. So what answer you are going to give from there. So these points you can mention that these are the values of the flower. Now children, after discussing the aesthetic and social cultural values of a flower, now let us know about the process that which we are going to start. We are going to study in this chapter. That is your heading only given of the chapter is that sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Now what do you mean by sexual reproduction in flowering plants? Sexual reproduction is the formation of new individuals. Always by a sexual reproduction process, a new offsprings are given birth. New offsprings, new progeny is brought to the world. So sexual reproduction is a process. In the process of formation of new individuals through the formation and fusion of gametes. First point, it is the formation of new individuals. Now how these new individuals are being formed? These new individuals are being formed by the formation of gametes and fusion of gametes, by the formation and fusion of gametes. This is the second point. So what do you mean by formation and fusion of gametes? What are gametes? The male gamete and the female gamete. In case of human beings, sperm is the male gamete, ovum is the female gamete. In case of plants also, we are having male and female gametes. Pollen grains are considered as the male gamete and your ovules are considered as the female gamete. So sexual reproduction is the formation of new individuals by the formation of gametes. It means the formation of pollen grains and ovules. So formation of gametes and these fusion of gametes. It means that pollen grains, the male gametes present in the pollen grains and the ovules will be fusing together. So fusion of gametes leading to the embryo formation. What will be the result of fusion? So result will be formation of embryo and resulting in the formation of multicellular plants. So what is sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction is a process where your new progeny is given birth. How? By the formation and fusion of the male gamete and female gamete. Pollen grains and ovules, fusion of those two structures. When they fuse together, something is going to be formed. So what is being formed? The structures which are being formed are embryo, endosperm, and then these structures develops after different cell differentiation, cell division, cell elongation, various types of process takes place, and passing through those processes, a new multicellular plant body is being developed. So this is what your sexual reproduction says. That sexual reproduction is a formation of new individual through formation and fusion of the gametes leading to the formation of embryo and multicellular plants. Hope the definition is clear that what you mean by sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Now, this sexual reproduction in flowering plants is also called as amphimixis. Children, this is amphimixis. And while discussing about the topic, I told you about apomixis. This is an opposite term related from amphimixis. Amphimixis is a reproduction process sexually. And whereas apomixis is a reproduction process asexually. Now this asexual method of process in the plants we will be studying in the later part of the chapter at the last. So apomixis is a asexual part we will be discussing later. But this sexual reproduction in flowering plants is also called as amphimixis. Now this is a diplontic life cycle seen in the flowering plants. Now what do you mean by diplontic life cycle? Just recall your class 11th chapter first, biological classification and all. There you have studied about haplontic life cycle, diplontic life cycle, haplodiplontic life cycle. What do you mean by this diplontic life cycle? Diplontic life cycle means the plant organisms are diploid in structure. Diploid means diploid zygote will be formed. So they are diplontic in life cycle can be seen in case of flowering plants. So this was all about the sexual reproduction in the flowering plants. Now children, if you recall the same part of the chapter of the class 11th. Now going back, flashback to the chapter of biological classification where we have studied about the classification in plants. There we have discussed the classification of plant. That plant has been divided into two categories, cryptogamy and phanerogamy, on the basis of seed formation. Cryptogamy, we have discussed all Thallophyta, your Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, all these are in the case of cryptogams. And in phanerogams, gymnosperms were there, angiosperms were there. So this sexual reproduction in flowering plants, all the angiospermic plants are there. So they belong to phanerogams. And this your phanerogams, especially your angiosperm plants, you have discussed there. We have studied there about they are monocot, dipot, all those things we have discussed. We will not be discussing in detail over here. Just go back to the last year chapter, revise it, just recall the things again too, because I have told you that everything we are going to study here, morphology, anatomy, physiology, everything we are going to study. So just give a revision to the last year class 11 chapter, biological classification of the plant kingdom, which we have discussed. So this was all about that. Now let us move ahead with the chapter. Now children, again let us recall a little bit. Now typical angiosperm is also called as flowering plants, and they are having two systems. These are all the remembrance part, recalling part. You are knowing it that angiosperms are having every plant system is having two system. Ground level root system is there and your shoot system is there. So underground root system and your aerial shoot system, these are the two systems which are present in the typical angiospermic plants. And in root system you have studied that there are two types of root here, tap root and fibrous root is there. In case of here, now later part will be dividing it into that, I told you that phanerogams and angiosperms were divided into monocot, dicot. So fibrous root is present in the mostly in the monocot plants, and tap root is present in the case of dicot plants. So monocot, dicot we are not going to discuss over here. In the later part when we will be discussing about the seed formation, there we will be talking about that. But two systems, so this is not so much important over here. This aerial shoot part is important. As I told you that flower is what? Flower is a modified condensed part of a shoot. So here your shoot system is important. And in shoot also we are not going to study about stem and leaf. This flower part is important because here what we are going to discuss, we are going to discuss about the sexual reproduction in the flowering plants. So flowers are important because flower is only a part where your both male and female part is present. Now whether it will be monoecious or dioecious, which we call it as a unisexual, bisexual, whatever you call it, later part, but that all are present in case of flower. So this flower is very important, which we will be discussing now. Now we will be discussing that how flowers develop. What happens in the shoot system that the flowers develop, that we will be discussing it. Now let us know that how do flowers develop in an introductory part only. So how do flowers develop? Flowers develop in a mature plants due to hormones, induced structural and physiological changes in the shoot apices. Now hormone induced structures, hormones. It is a hypothetical hormone. It is thought by the scientist. Florigen name of hormone is there, hypothetical hormone, florigen. It is thought, it is believed that due to that hormone, your development takes place in the shoot apexis, in the shoot tip, primordial axis, where your flowering starts develop. And your different varieties, different types of flowers gets developed over there. So it is a hypothetical thought of hormone called as florigen. And also the flowering depends upon the photoperiodism. Different type of time, like your 4 o'clock plant is there. It blooms during the evening time only. Some flowers you have seen that they bloom during afternoon. Some flowers bloom during morning. So photoperiodism as well as the hypothetical hormone florigen, that is responsible for the development of the different structures of flowers and physiological changes which are taking place in the flowers at the shoot apexis. Now the flowers may be solitary or they may be transformed into an inflorescence. What do you mean by this? Now at the tip of the branch, if this is a flower, if this is a branch, so at the tip of the branch, your shoot, a single flower may be present, a solitary flower may be present, or there may be many flowers. There may be many flowers in like your inflorescence. You have studied this in the chapter in class 11th, that different type of your inflorescence were present and different how the flowers develops in the plant body. So the flowers may be solitary as well as they may be transformed into inflorescence. From where? From the shoot apex, from the tip of the shoot, the modified condensed part of the shoot. From there the flowers may be developing and the flowers may be solitary, they may be single, or they may be transformed into an inflorescence, a bunch of flowers. Now meristem primordia grows into floral buds and then flowers. Now what is this? Meristem primordia. Meristem primordia means meristem means meristematic tissue. Now the region where your meristematic tissue is present, where at the tip, at this point, at the tip of the shoot, at this point, the meristematic tissue which is present, this primordia, this apex, this tip, at this point your meristem primordia grows, the shoot condensed, it grows into first into floral bud and then they develop into flower. Now children, this was in short that how flowers develop. A big description is over there which we are going to study in detail in the later part of the videos, in the later part of the chapters. But this was in very short to give you a rough idea that from where the flowers develop. So if a plant is growing, the tip is moving. So if suppose this is a flower tip and this shoot is moving here, at this point, at this tip, the meristem will be helping at this primordial point. From here, the shoot will get condensed and it will be changing into floral buds and flower development will take place. Now children, we should move to the again diagram part of the chapter of the flower, that what are the various parts which are present in a flower. Definition we have discussed before, that what is a flower. A flower can be defined as a reproductive unit of a plant. It can be defined as a condensed modified shoot part of a plant, and it can also be considered as a floral leaves of a plant. So defining it, we'll be now moving it on the diagrammatic part of the flower. Since class 6th you are studying this diagram, a typical flower diagram, that a small stalk is present which is called as pedicel or peduncle. Then the flower, the peduncle is having a swollen base which is called as thalamus. This is a swollen base called as thalamus. Now within this, the innermost part of the flower, gynoecium, female part, your pistil or carpel is present. So this one is your middle part, gynoecium part, pistil or carpel part, which is located in the center, which is embedded in the thalamus part of the flower. Now from here you can see this small leaf-like structures. These small leaf-like structures, leafy structures are called as sepals. A small unit of the leaf is sepal. When collectively we call it as a calyx. Then you might have seen a colored part, leaf-like structures, which is called as petal or corolla. So this one has been shown corolla in a flower. So this is corolla, the colored part of the flowers, which is also called as petal. Then we are having this one. This is your stamen, and this middle section I have told you, this is your pistil. This is a typical diagram of a flower which you have studied before also and today also. We are just going to discuss it briefly over here. Now, what are the four important flower parts? The four important flower parts which are over here, that is your calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. Children, calyx is also called as sepal. How, where, when, I am going to tell you now. Corolla, we can call it as a petal. Androecium called as stamen, and gynoecium called as pistil or carp. Now, when these parts, these are the four whorls, these are the four parts of the flower. There are, in last years, in the previous years, you have studied that flower is having two important sections, necessary parts and accessory parts. What are the accessory parts? So your calyx and corolla are the accessory parts, which are only for beautifying or protection is over there. These two parts are only for beautifying the flowers or for the protection of the flowers. But what are the essential parts? What are the necessary parts? So the necessary parts are androecium and gynoecium. Androecium, stamen, the male reproductive part of the flower, and then your gynoecium, pistil or carpel, which is the female reproductive part of the flower. So without the presence of androecium and gynoecium, your sexual reproduction in case of flowering plants will not happen, and that's what we have to study in the chapter, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So essential parts, the necessary parts are very important to be present in the flower. Whether both are present in the same flower or they are in separate two flowers, that we are just going to discuss later on. But these are the two essential necessary parts which should be present in the flower for having sexual reproduction. But your calyx and corolla are the accessory parts which are only for beautifying or for protection part. Now, these are the four whorls of the gynoecium. What I am saying? I am saying whorls. WHORLS, whorls. Now, what is whorl? Whorl, you can consider it as a layer by layer. The parts are arranged in a flower. If this is a circumference, and around the circumference, the outermost layer of the circumference is enclosed by a part called as sepal, called as calyx. Now, inner to the sepal, the second layer is present, and that second layer is a beautifying layer called as corolla or petals. Now, inner to the corolla, the third layer which is present, that is your androecium, and inner to the androecium, innermost part is your gynoecium. You can consider it in this form, children, that we are having 4 circles over here, and these 4 circles are belonging to 4 parts. How? Now, this part, the outer circumference, the outer whorl is enclosed by sepals. The inner layer to sepal, the second layer is your petal. Inner to the petal, the third layer can be your stamen. And inner to the stamen, this inner part may be your pistil, carpel. These are the 4 whorls. So what is the innermost whorl? The innermost whorl is your pistil. It is your carpel. It is your gynoecium, the female reproductive part. Now you see that nature is such a wonderful that it has protected the female reproductive part in the innermost level of the flower. Innermost, it has protected that part inside the flower, in the innermost, in the middle section of the flower. So the innermost whorl, this is your gynoecium, this is your pistil or carpel. Then next to it, it is your androecium, stamen. Then next to it, it is your petals, colorful petals. And then the outermost is your sepal. Now all these 4 whorls are collected where? It is holded by what? It is holded by a structure called as thalamus. Now this thalamus is connected to a pedicel or a peduncle by a stalk-like structure with the modified shoot. So this is how what your diagram looks like. This is what you mean by the floral leaves. You can call these 4 whorls as a floral leaves also. You can call these 4 parts of flower as a floral leaves. So sepal, petal, androecium, gynoecium can be also called as floral leaves. And in how many whorls they are present? These floral leaves are present in 4 whorls. And what are those 4 whorls? The outermost is sepal, then it is your petal, then androecium, then gynoecium. Now children, when your calyx is called as sepal, when your corolla is called as petal. Now, a single leaf-like structure. Now, if a single leaf-like structure is present in this way, when I am talking about a single unit, now there may be polysepalous, multiple number of sepals can be present, 6 sepals, 4 sepals, from outside there may be many. So, but the one sepal, one unit of that is called as sepal. And when we call it collectively, a flower is, suppose that this is a flower and this flower is protected by 5 sepals. 5 sepals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sepals are there. So this one unit is called as sepal, but when we collectively talk about this complete, all the sepals, then it is your calyx. So the unit of calyx, the single unit of calyx is your sepal. Same thing, we talk about corolla, about petal. In a group, it is called as corolla. But when we talk about a single leaf of a corolla, in a rose plant, in a rose flower, you see so many petals are there. When we pick up a single leaf of that petal, then that is a petal. But when we collectively talk about all the petals present in a flower, then it is called as corolla. Calyx is a collective form of a sepal. Corolla is a collective form of a petal. Stamen, this is a single stamen. But when we talk about all the stamen, it is androecium. And this is a female reproductive part called as gynoecium. And this gynoecium is made up of three parts. That is your ovary, a long style, and then your stigma. This we will be studying separately. Now I will be showing that how these structures look like separately. Now let us see again, children, separately in a diagrammatic form, that what I have discussed few minutes back, all the four floral leaves or the whorls of the floral leaves of a flower. Now the first diagram is showing about sepal, about your calyx. This is your calyx. Now children, this individual unit, this is a sepal. This is a sepal. But when I talk about all the units of all the sepals, then it is your calyx. And what is calyx meant for? Calyx is meant for, its main purpose is in the young stage, when the flower is in the young stage, it is in its primordial state, it is in the form of bird. जब एक फूल कली के फॉर्म में होता है, एक छोटे से कली के फॉर्म में होता है, जब खिला नहीं होता है पूरी तरह से, at that time the stage is a bird stage, floral bird stage, and that floral bird is protected by a green leaf-like structures you might have seen. That green leaf-like structure is called as sepals. It is collectively called as calyx. So this is that what? Green color leafy structure. And what is its function? Its function is to protect the floral whorls, the three next floral whorls, the petal, androecium and gynoecium. This bird, this calyx is protecting those floral whorls inside in the condition of bird when the development of the flower is being taking place. So at that time they protection. So calyx is the green leafy-like structure, and the single unit is called as sepal, and collectively it is called as calyx. Now moving to the next part, the second whorl of the flower is the petal, the colored petal. Insects attract towards that color part. You might have seen it is of orange color, white color, blue color, violet color, pink color, various colors of petals you might have seen in various different varieties of flowers. There is a diversity of a flower. There are various types of flowers having various colors, various shapes. So these individual unit of those beautiful floral leaves is called as petal, and collectively it is called as corolla. Now moving to the next part, your stamen or androecium. You can see here, this is having a long stalk-like structure, and this stalk-like structure is your filament, and then within, at the top part, you can see a swollen structure is present. As this swollen structure is your anther, and within this anther the development of pollen grains takes place during the reproductive structure, during the reproduction process. So this is your anther. This is a long stalk which is filament, and this whole structure is stamen or androecium, which is also called as male reproductive organ of a flower. Male reproductive organ of a flower. Now this is the third whorl. Now moving to the next whorl, that is your female reproductive part, and this female reproductive organ is gynoecium, pistil or carpel. You can see here that this gynoecium is divided into three parts. At the base, the swollen part is your ovary, then a long stalk, diagrammatic form, it is your style, and at the top of swollen base, a swollen platform is present, and this platform is called as stigma. Stigma is present to hold the pollen after pollination. Style, it will give pathway, later on in the chapter we will be discussing. Then ovary, and inside the ovary the development of ovule takes place. This is your gynoecium, the innermost middle protective part of the female reproductive organ of the flower, which is this one. So these are the four whorls I have shown you through the typical complete flower diagram also, and I have shown all the parts of the flower, necessary and necessary parts of the flower in a diagrammatic form, all the four whorls, that is your calyx, the single unit called as sepal, then it is your corolla, single unit called as petal, androecium, male reproductive organ called as stamen, and gynoecium, female reproductive organ called as pistil. And where are these parts located? They are located at their respective nodes. Now children, You might be thinking that ma'am is talking about node. Now nodes that you have studied that they are present in the stem. Node is a part from where the leaf structure arises. Internode is a space in between two nodes. Now why I am talking here about nodes? So now what is flower? Flower is a modified condensed shoot. So they are also having a node position. So at the position of nodes, these all four whorls are present. But these node positions are having a very short distance. They are having a very short gap in between them, which we cannot identify. So those node positions cannot be identified by us. But in that flower, that node position is present. Why? Because flower is a modified condensed shoot. So on those node position itself, these four whorls will develop. But the internode space will be very less. The space between the two nodes will be very less, very short, which we cannot identify. Now children, let us discuss about little bit about your internode position also, that how these four whorls are arranged on the basis of nodes and internodes. Now let us discuss about little bit node and the names, how the plant's parts are named according to the placement of node and internode. So space or gap present in between all the whorls are called internode. You are knowing what is node and internode. The position from where the parts of the plants arise. Leaf will arise, flower will arise, that is a node. And space in between two nodes is internode. So the space in between the nodes, the space in between the two floral parts, the space in between calyx and corolla, in between these two parts is your internode. The space in between corolla and androecium, the intermediate space, is called as internode. The space in between the androecium and gynoecium, that intermediate space, is called as internode. So the space in between all the four whorls of the floral leaves is called as internode. And these internode, the space is highly reduced. I told you that they are so short that we cannot identify the space in between them, that which position is node and which position is internode. It cannot be identified. So the space is highly reduced. So on the basis of this highly reduced internode, the flowers are of different types. Now what are the types? In some plants, length of internode increases, which is present in between calyx and corolla, and it is called as anthrophore. Anthrophore. It is called as anthrophore. If the space is more in between calyx and corolla, the internode space is increasing, the length of the internode is increasing in between calyx and corolla, then the flowers are called as anthrophore, and the example for it is silene plant and dianthus. Now moving to the second category, if the length of internode between corolla and androecium, the first part I talked about present in between calyx and corolla, and the second case I am talking about the space in between corolla and androecium, that means petal and stamen. If the internode space is increasing in between petal and androecium, stamen, corolla and androecium, then that type of flower, children, it is called as androphore. It is called as androphore, and example is Passiflora. The example is Passiflora. So I hope the difference between two is clear. Anthrophore and androphore. If the space of internode is increasing in between calyx and corolla, then it is anthrophore, and if the space is increasing in between corolla and androecium, then it is androphore. Now let us move to the next two types. Next two types of flower on the basis of internode, children, are if the internode between androecium and gynoecium. Before I have talked about the space in between your calyx and corolla and androecium. Now I am talking about the node in between androecium and gynoecium. Now if that space is increasing, then it is called as gynophore. In between androecium and gynoecium. If the internode space increases, then it is called as gynophore, and example is Caparus. And children, if both androphore and gynophore are present in same flower, if the space is more in between corolla and androecium, as well as the space is more in between androecium and gynoecium, if these both the conditions are present in same flower, then the condition is called gynandrophore, or it is called as androgynophore. And example is Gynandrophis, and many other such examples are also present, which can be classified over here under this category. Pentaphilus is there, and many other examples are over there which we can consider here. So hope children you have understood about all the four whorls, that what is calyx, sepal, what is corolla, petal, androecium, stamen, gynoecium, pistil or carpel, and how these all four whorls are arranged in such a condensed shoot part like structure in between where your node and internode is also present. And according to the internode space increasing and decreasing, I have told you that how many types of flowers can be considered. I told you about anthrophore, I discussed about androphore, I discussed here just now about your gynophore, gynandrophore, or it is also called as androgynophore. This was all about children about the internode space. Now let us speak about little bit about the parts of the flower. Now children, before starting the main topic of the chapter, let us discuss the various parts of the flower again in very short. Before I have discussed diagrammatically, again here in a very short form I will be discussing it again. Now stalk of a single flower is called as pedicel. I told you that flower may be solitary or it may be transformed in form of inflorescence. So if the flower is solitary, then the stalk by which it is connected, it is called as your pedicel. But when a flower is considered to be transformed into a inflorescence form, then the stalk is called as peduncle. Children, always remember the difference between pedicel and peduncle. Peduncle and pedicel both are stalk of flower, but when it is called, when the flower is solitary, then the stalk-like structure is called as pedicel. But when the flower, a group of flower, a bunch of flower is collected in one stalk-like structure, then it is called as peduncle. Now where all the floral leaves are arranged, I told you they are all arranged in a whorl-like structure in a swollen base called as thalamus. And where is this thalamus? This thalamus is located at the tip of the pedicel. So all the four whorls, calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, all these four whorls are collectively arranged according to their position, according to their level in the swollen base-like structure called as thalamus. Now next I have discussed a lot about calyx and corolla. They are the accessory or non-essential part of the whorls of the flower, and the rest is androecium and gynoecium are the necessary, essential, reproductive whorls or part of a flower. Now children, I will be ending up this part over here, and in the next part of the video we will be discussing about the male reproductive part, which I have told you before that these are the essential parts, and when we are studying the chapter sexual reproduction in flower parts, then we are needed to discuss about, it is very important to discuss about your androecium and gynoecium. So in the next part of the video I will be coming up with the structure of androecium in detail, with the structure of stamen having filament, anther, how microsporangia is developed, how your anther is being developed, how microspores will be developed, how pollen grains will be developed. That will all be in the upcoming videos. So this much till today. Thank you. Stay safe. Take care.